You are listening to ProveText, a Glossa House podcast exploring Scripture with Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb and Dr. Frederick J. Long. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to ProveText. I am Michael Halcomb and I'm here with my friend Fred Long. And hey, we thought we were going to end with participles in our previous GrammarPoint episode, but you know, it's Adventtide, it's Christmastide right around the corner, and we thought we'd be generous and do a couple more participle episodes. And in particular, in this one, we're going to look at participles within the context of narrative. You heard as part of one of the earlier episodes where we were talking a little bit about how genre affects participle translation and participle usage. So, Fred, where do you want to start here?
Yeah, let's go to Mark 3. And by the way, this is a time of festivity and parties, so let's lean into some participles. So Mark 3, if you have your Greek Testament, you want to open up there. We're going to move kind of quickly. You can always pause and re-listen. But we're looking at 3:1. So I'll quickly translate here. And Jesus entered in again into a synagogue, and there was a man or a person there having a withered hand. Okay, so ein echon anthropos. So a person was having. That is a periphrastic construction. Okay, so this is ascribing the attribute of having. It's stressing the fact that this person was having something. He was having. Now, what was he having? He was having ex eramenein tein kira, a having withered up hand. Now, having been withered up, withered is a middle passive perfect tense participle. Notice the accent over the epsilon there, and a little bit of a reduplication, kind of hidden. This is an attributive participle that's modifying hand. And this is out of position. It usually you think of modifiers being close to what they're modifying, but it's put forward of the verb, echon, to stress it. And so really what's achieved here by this periphrastic construction and this fronted attributive participle is the fact that it's a terrible situation that he's in. He's having this withered hand, and that's what's being stressed. Okay, so that's what the participles achieve there. Now, as we go on in verse 3, we see Jesus, it says, and he says to the person. Now, what kind of person is it? To ekonti. So, to anthropo to ekonti, the having withered hand or the dried hand. So, this is a participle. Ekonti is a attributive participle modifying anthropo. So this is simply the person having the dried up hand. So yeah, there is an example of an attributive or adjectival use, attributive use of the participle. And it's present tense, suggesting ongoingness. This is what he was having. Now, another participle is found in verse 5, and this one is circumstantial. It's nominative case. There's no article with it. And it's nominative, looking around, or, after looking around or having looked around at them with anger,
Wrath.
Then being grieved at their hardness of their heart, he says to the person. Okay, so here you have two pre-nuclear, prepositioned participles. They're circumstantial. The first one, I think both of them probably are framework, providing a framework for his action of speaking to the man. Reach out, extend your hand. So the first framework is that he's angry. The second framework is that he is grieved. So having looked around, that's aorist tense, that tends to be time prior. So having looked around with anger, and then being grieved is present tense. This is kind of ongoing. Yeah, being grieved. Okay, so those are two pre-nuclear circumstantial participles. And then there's also a participle in verse 6. The Pharisees, having gone out immediately with the Herodians, were giving counsel against him in order somehow that they would kill him. So here, the ex elthontes is simply, it's a circumstantial participle. It's nominative, ontes. And I would say that it's really just providing a segue. It's not providing any really important information other than just transitioning to a new scene. And it's with the Pharisees collaborating with the Herodians. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just preached on this last Sunday. I think there's something interesting theologically there about what's not said. I mean, I think it's interesting that I don't want to go into a thing here, but that Jesus and the man do not go with, they do not exit. And I think there's something significant about the fact that they remain in the synagogue, but that's another time, another place. So
all right. We've seen a variety of participles already, right? We've seen several adjectival uses. We've seen a periphrastic use, and then we've seen mostly pre-nuclear uses. And I think that's probably, you're going to see a lot more of those than with non-narrative, like argumentative discourse. We're going to see a lot of elaborating post-position participles. But let's look at Mark 5:21. And here we see a genitive absolute. So diaperasontos to Jesu, to Jesu. So having crossed over again, Jesus having crossed over again. This is genitive absolute participles are circumstantial participles. So then I'm looking pre or post position. This is prepositioned. It's far away from the main verb. And I think it's just providing a segue. So a lot of these segue verbs, the segue participles, that is transitional, are movement based, moving around. In other words, they're not providing an important framework. They're just providing like a segue. So there's one there, verse 21. Then there's one. Let's see, where else do we see one? Oh, verse 23. He exhorted him many things, saying. So the legon here, fifth word in, might possibly be redundant because parakaleo already kind of means speaking. So I think this would be an example of redundant, which would be adding stress to what follows, stressing what's being said, which is further stressed because it's set off with a ot. This is called a recitative ot after legon. Saying this, colon, quote. So I think this is a very important statement that's being said to Jesus right here now. Plus, it's a present indicative verb. He implores him, which means that the scene is kind of opening up and is going to be resolved in the future. Okay, so while Jesus is departed with him, then in verse 24, we learn of this woman, that there's a great crowd surrounding him. And in verse 25, we get introduced to this woman. Now, there's a huge set of descriptors, participles describing this woman. And actually, the main verb doesn't occur until 27. So 25 through 27 has, I think, 7 participles that are pre-nuclear, circumstantial. They're circumstantial pre-nuclear, describing an important framework of who this woman is. And then finally, in verse 27, it says, she touched his garment. So all these participles in 25, 26, 27 are describing this terrible circumstance of her having this flow of blood for 12 years, suffering many things under many doctors, spending everything she had and benefiting nothing, but rather more the work becoming worse, and having heard of Jesus coming in the crowd after she touched his garment. So really, verse 25 through 27, the main sentence is simply, and a woman touched his garment. But look at what these participles achieve. They kind of pile up the terrible situation of this woman. And so I would say that they're pre-nuclear framework participles. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. That's so good. All right. Well, thanks for the insight, Fred, and for everyone listening. Hope that helps.
Looking for creative ways to launch your biblical language studies to the next level? We here at Glossa House create resources with you in mind. We've created a stock of innovative and cutting-edge audio, video, digital, and print resources to help you reach your language goals. Visit glossahouse.com to find what you've been looking for. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.